yes, this is not a plan. Like, this is terrifying. Don't get me wrong. There are plenty of people who are scared, and there are plenty of people who don't know what to do next. And one thing I really want people to stop doing, and I'm not anybody's boss, you can do what you want, you can probably, whatever, screw me, but we're not like cooked. Don't do that thing. Don't give up immediately. Like there's a sort of rhetoric and an idea that like, oh, we're finished and this is it, and like, oh, there's nothing that can be done. It's like guys, no. But then you see people devastated, giving up very quickly. Oh man, we're ruined. We're so cooked. It's like, I mean, if you believe that, then we are. Like, if you earnestly believe that, then yes, absolutely. That's what cooked looks like, because cooked is done, and you like your steak raw. So, yeah, I mean, like day one, we're cooked. That's also, that kind of made me furious, I'm not gonna lie. Not even like an armed resistance attacking people or something like that. Oh, we're cooked. It's like, you saw him with his pen. Like, I'm saying genuinely, people, please, if you feel anything, then you should openly speak it. One of the reasons that these things spread, why negativity spreads, why like the general pessimism towards movements spread, is because people let their doubt reign over everything, all of their discussion, all of their thinking. It's like, I'm not saying that I know exactly what to do about executive orders that he passed that I don't agree with. Those things are for the courts to hopefully fight, But I will say, for every person that I know that was affected by an executive order that he has, that I know is scared, I talk to that person. And I tell them, hey, I'm at least here. Now, I'm not the president, but I'm here for you, locally.
Hi, Issa.
Right? That's how you build community. And that's how you keep people from being afraid. Because people don't know. They genuinely don't know that there are people that are willing to back them up. They have no idea, right? He signed an executive order that was supposed to take away birthright citizenship for people who were not already citizens, and to stop any confusion, it was going to be birthright citizenship starting now, right? Because if it was for all time, then like half of his cabinet, they wouldn't even know where to take them, put them. And then he started work on this thing that he'd been promising. And it was a thing that people didn't really think he was going to do, like mass deportations. And so far, these are the numbers so far as I know them. Once again, I'm willing to be like fact checked. If I'm wrong. But this is from what I've read and from what I know, this is basically what has happened. They did some ICE raids in places like Chicago, and there were some in Texas too. Arizona, and like plenty of like sanctuary cities. That's ones they were like targeting initially. I'm not sure why, because you would think in the red states that voted for this thing, they would want it first. Like, that just seems like it's making nobody happy. And they rounded up some people, and they went ahead and took off for Mexico. And so then they take off for Mexico. We did it. We raided, we got some people, gonna drop them off at Mexico because these are Mexican illegal immigrants, right? And so then FAA comes on and they're like, hey, don't land here. And I do think that nobody really thought that part through. I don't think people really thought. And then even when they let them land, they were like, don't let them off the plane. Just turn around. And they were like, all right, okay. We will be back, though. We'll be back with more, right? Because, I should be clear here, that apparently, from what I've read, just deporting these 80 people cost the taxpayers $700,000.
Oh, of course it did.
So I do not know how...
Well, I'm listening to right now, I'm listening to Josh Johnson, his newest episode, or...
80. There's supposedly 11 million undocumented immigrants in the U.S., right? 11
Josh
million,
Johnson.
so 3.3% of the population, right? And we started with 80. If I owed somebody $11 million, and I told them, hey, I ain't got all that right now, but I do have this 80, I'm getting my ass beat. That's crazy. 80 and $700,000. I'm not in government. I'm not acting like I know how to fix a situation. I'm not acting like I know what to do about where we're at. But I will say this. If I know I got to spend $700,000 to get 80, this is just me. This is just me. This is just me. I'm not telling anybody else to do it. This is just me. This is what I would do if it were me and I knew $700,000 for 80. I would just tell those 80 people, listen, I'm going to break you off some. Start a new life somewhere else. You get 1/80th of 700,000, right? And come back in like 6 months, all right? Because that's one thing that you will not hear. As this whole thing builds out, you will not hear about people coming over illegally. They're going to act like it's not happening. They're going to act like it's all going one way. They're denying everything. They're denying all of these legal ways to become a citizen, legal ways to gain citizenship, legal ways to get a card, or just to be able to work in the U.S. They canceled a lot of appointments for people who were doing the right thing, right? And so my thing is just use your logic and pay attention to what is not being said over the next few months to several years, because they're not going to want to admit that these people are coming in still, even while they're making these efforts, because it will make them look even more desperate, even less efficient, you know? Because they told us before the election all of these incredible stories about how migrants were coming in. They were like, and look, I don't even know how they're doing it, but in Honduras and Guatemala, they're disassembling themselves, mailing themselves here, and then reassembling themselves, and then walking around amongst us. But now that they've supposedly shut down the border, they want us to believe that all of these illegal ways of entering have also just stopped. And that's not true. You're fighting a losing battle if it takes you $700,000 to send 80 people somewhere that says, hey, we're not, you know what I mean? That's one of the craziest things too. Is a deeply ironic thing that they did all this, sent the people over, and then the other countries were like, hey, those are American immigrants. No, that's crazy. No, and I think a lot of it. I think a lot of the tactics that have been taken and some of the logic that's been used on the news and everything is just it's genuinely fear based. It's to rile you up. It's to make you feel afraid and everything. And you know, even in the executive orders, 100 executive orders or so, and so many of them don't really say anything. They don't really do anything. You just sort of make a show of signing it. You know? Because I'll be honest with you, I saw some of the raids that were taking place and some of the statements that people made and how they're taking things that were normally off the table, they're putting them back on so they can come to your church, they can come to your school. People are scared to go to places that felt safe and everything. And I will say I don't know exactly what to do. I'm not acting like I have any answers. I just don't know how possibly this is the road, this is the tack to take, you know? People will say things like, oh, they don't pay any taxes. It's don't they eat? Then didn't they pay the sales tax? Didn't they pay? And by the way, this not paying taxes thing, they get paid under the table by Americans, by the way. There's no job that they have that an American doesn't give them, and pay them under the table in cash, and probably pay them a little less than minimum wage. Probably pay them in even numbers. So what money could you possibly stand to gain? And I'm not saying the money doesn't exist, that it's not there, and that there shouldn't be a path to legal citizenship so that they can pay all the taxes that we all pay. I'm just saying that, are Are they each owing more than like $700,000 when you put 80 of them together?
Can y'all hear that fucking train? 'Cause I can.
Have y'all seen the
Must be the season
the Civil War taking place? Alright, if you haven't heard, that's fine. That just means you live in a functional life because what I'm talking about happened on Twitter. Elon Musk came through and was like, hey, we actually really need in America H-1B visas. And these H-1B visas are how people from other countries come here and have, pretty great jobs by some standards. These are like sometimes developing jobs, some of the engineering jobs, and like just stuff of that nature. This isn't like one of your regular visas, and it's not like a visa that we have with a specific country. Like there are E3 visas that we have with places like Australia because they're white, and that's like that. That's a thing that we have with lots of different countries. So there's a certain amount of visas that are agreements between the countries, and we don't have it with every single country in the world, but even with like, Uganda, we might have a few that are these specific visas that Ugandans can get or something, as an example, right? But the H-1Bs have a lot to do with jobs because with your H-1B visa, if you lose your job, right, you have to leave. But Elon is like, these H-1Bs are actually great. And Vivek Ramaswamy is also like, these H-1Bs are fantastic, right? Now, the reason that billionaires like H-1B visas is because people who are very talented from other countries will come, and they're usually, not always, but a lot of times are sending money back to their home country for their family, right? And so they, due to the exchange rate, don't really have the same amount of demands as an American worker. Like an American worker, 100 grand, it means something different here than it means to someone coming here, right? 100 grand, you might still be like, okay, I'll have a place to live, but I won't be able to do much. I can't take a vacation. If I get hurt, I'm immediately gonna go into medical debt because I have insurance. Like 100 grand is a lot of money, but you're still thinking about how you're gonna move through life as an American, right? But if you're coming from somewhere, especially if you're coming from somewhere where this is the biggest opportunity you've had up until this point, you're thinking 100 grand. Okay, look, I can have roommates. I don't care about having roommates. I'll have as many roommates as it takes to keep as much of that 100 grand after taxes that I'm going to keep in my pocket, so that way I can send money home, and the money that I send home to the exchange rate is fantastic, right? So now I can maybe even retire my parents off of this 100 grand, 120 grand job back where I'm from. So when they come over here, they are working these like crazy hours. Like we're talking like 80-hour work weeks, fluctuations, and what the job description is and stuff like that. And they don't complain, because if they complain, they could be fired. And if they get fired, they're immediately deported. They start all over again, right? So that's why Elon and Vivek love H-1B visas. So MAGA as a movement is very upset with this sort of thing, because the whole idea of Trump winning and Elon and Vivek making that Department of Government Efficiency, which is only named that so that it will be called Doge, which is low-key one of the most unserious things I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, that was when I was like, oh yeah, we're cooked. That's very bad. That, y'all, if you had gone back 20 years and told somebody that eventually there would be someone, I mean, these are like made up jobs. Like Trump would actually have to do what they say to make them official. Right now they don't even really exist in theory, right? It's just an idea of what might happen. I mean, who knows now? But like if you went back 20 years and you told someone eventually there would be a government body that only had its name so it could be the acronym CAKE. I'm sure that person 20 years ago would ask, when did all the smart people die? And so, Vivek tweets and Elon tweets, and everyone, I don't know, they're so bad. Okay, so basically, MAGA sees the H-1B visas as like taking American jobs, and not in a Mexican immigrant way. Not in the way of like, they're coming over here and they're selling fruit. I didn't really want to sell fruit anyway, but like they're selling the fruit. I don't know how I feel about that. It's not like that. It's like, no, LinkedIn is empty. And you're talking about H-1Bs coming over here and getting the jobs that I went to college for. And then Elon basically said, hey, y'all way too stupid to do these jobs, which is so out of pocket. That's so crazy. That, in a weird way, this whole ordeal almost made me feel kind of bad for MAGA as a movement, because when you think about it, a lot of why MAGA started is because, you know, whether you want to put them in quotations as elites or like coastal elites or just people with money, those people for a long time, and this is something that I don't like, that I've seen for a long time, because it's a city rule thing that we do to each other a lot, where there are a lot of city people that look down on like rural people in a rural lifestyle, because they're like, oh, you're not educated. But then the people in the rural areas look at city people and they're like, you actually can't keep yourself alive. Do you know what I mean? Like you I know you've read more than me, but like, how do you, where does water come from? Tell me where water comes from. Oh, the bottle? Oh, okay. Oh, it comes from a bottle. That's cute. All right. You know, because don't get me wrong, as well-educated city people who I've been around, I've lived in lots of different places, and I travel around the country as often as I can, so I do my best to meet everyone so I can understand. I want to have as many pieces of the puzzle as I can to see where people are coming from, how we get places, right? And when I tell you that there are people who I know are very smart, very, very intelligent people, very smart people, but when you tell them that water comes from the ground, they look at you like, well, you must be drinking dirty water, because not my Icelandic, no. Guys, you know, so Elon basically says y'all are like way too dumb to do these jobs. Like, I've seen your American schools, I've seen your colleges, and your colleges don't even match other countries' high schools. And the sort of general MAGA response to that was like, well, okay, but you agreed with us for the past like 4 or 5 years that the American college system was broken and that it's too woke and that we need to fix it and we need to change things up. And he was like, yeah, but you still dumb. Like that doesn't change. I don't think yeah, I don't like it either, but that doesn't make you smarter that you went to a dumb school. And so then they lose it. And then MAGA was like, oh, okay, I didn't know you felt that way, you South African.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm still drawing. Did my thing stop?
It's hard to find a whiter man than Elon Musk. No, like literally and figuratively in a sense, because he's very. Oof. You know what I mean? Like the sun, not a friend, right? But the way they were calling that dude African, just. You ever? Because they're like African, but then I'm an African American, and that I've never had racism miss me like the Matrix. That like nearly broke my brain when they were like, "You African," and I was reading it like, "Oh yeah, that. Oh, wow, okay." All right. Elon has the most money in the world, the richest man in the world, and this is how you know that the path to riches is a dead end, because this man has always had money, and he has more money than anybody. And he plays with different people. Sometimes he's number 2 for like a day. Sometimes number 1 for a week. And he's richest man in the world. Is safe to say, right? I'm sure somebody can pull me up 4 months from now and be like, actually, it's this other person. It's like, yeah, for 20 minutes, but like it's richest person in the world, and he's still deeply, deeply missing everything about what a joyous life is. He's the richest person in the world, right? But out of all of that money that he has, all of the money he has, and he has almost all the money that he has, right? He has a cartoonish amount of money. All the money that he has, he wants nothing more. I can tell you this right now, just from watching his moves, just from watching him talk, just from watching how he's interacted, even in this little spat that he's having. I'm not saying that this is the end of MAGA or something, or that the Republican Party's gonna fall apart. I'm saying that just this glimpse. This dude has all of the money in the world. He can have anything that he wants, except acceptance, except like actually being in a room and knowing that everyone wants him in that room. He cannot buy being cool. He cannot buy. He cannot buy genuineness. There are always going to be people who love Elon or think Elon's dope because they think that he's a genius, because they think that he is going to help them become like him, or just because he has money. But then when you strip all of that away, I don't know Elon, and I don't necessarily care for much of what he does, but I know a person hurting when I see it. Do you know what I mean? I know like a hurt individual when I see it. And this dude has not stopped tweeting since they call him a South African. Like, since it happened. They have been coming for this dude's neck non-stop. And it's like sometimes I don't know. Sometimes you see something, you're like, oh, that's a lot. You know what I mean? Like, I'll tell you how I feel about what's happening to Elon right now. And you may, all right, this may just be me, but there's a video online of this guy. This is right when the Popeyes chicken sandwich dropped. Okay, and if you remember that was a time to be alive. You would think that Popeyes didn't serve chicken. You would think that something revolutionary was happening because they took the chicken that they already sell and they put 2 buns on either side of that chicken. People ready to fight over this chicken sandwich, and they were running out, not of chicken, of the sandwich, which means they were only running out of bread. And people were losing their minds over it. They could not. What do you mean you want a chicken sandwich? I waited in this line for 5 hours to get this chicken sandwich just to bite a piece of chicken and with bread on either side of it.
I've been waiting all day. Dad's chicken sandwich. Meanwhile, Chick-fil-A was next door being like, y'all. We hear all the time, like nobody wants that right now. I want the Popeyes chicken sandwich. And so there's a video where this guy is, I believe he's in Georgia. He might be in Atlanta, which also makes this thing very poor judgment. But this dude is in Atlanta. He's a white dude, right? And everyone else in the Popeyes is black. And I don't know how long he's been waiting. I don't know why he's so mad, but he's stomping around, right? And he's stomping around and getting in people's faces and stuff. He's like, "Where's my sandwich?" And then finally he goes up to somebody. He's like, "Get out of my way now!" And like it's just going back and forth, right? And then finally his sandwich is ready. He snatches the sandwich. He's like, "Give it to me!" And then he pushes somebody out of the way, and the person filming him is just like, "Oh no, oh no." Fast forward like 5 seconds, maybe 10. He's in the parking lot, sort of folded up. Because somebody beat his ass. Because, yeah. And so then, and not only are they beating his ass, but he's clearly folded up and sitting down now, and they still put a hand on his shoulder just to create leverage and are like uppercutting him a couple times, right? And so then after like the second or third uppercut, they walk off with his bag, and the person filming goes, "Oh, y'all ain't gotta take his sandwich though." Which is weirdly, I don't know, which is a very short, but a very poignant, like lesson about racism, or at least how people who experience racism treat the people who are racist towards them, right? Because even in this hateful thing, there's this line that's like, "Oh, okay, but that was enough." Do you know what I mean? And so when there are people who rarely or never experience racism, and it's a new feeling, it's a new type of anger, it's a new type of hurt, they're not gonna know what's enough because they're not practiced in what it feels like to find a level with it. Do you know what I mean? There are things that happen in the world, and they're sick and they're racist, and then it's not something that you can always change or resolve, but you have to move on with your life. You have to live, so you can fight back as best you can, and you can distance yourself as best you can, create safety as best you can, but that will be out there. So when when like someone who is not used to the practice of dealing with that thing feels it for the first time, nothing will ever be enough. And so because nothing is enough, they went after Elon in a way where I was like, "Oh, y'all ain't got to do all that." Because they hurt Elon feeling so bad that this dude went on a burner account on Twitter and join Space. If you don't know what Spaces are, it's where you can talk. It's literally just like this chat room, this like audio chat room where everybody can talk, or just the moderator can talk or whatever. And he went in this audio chat room with a voice modulator and started defending himself with the voice modulator, being like, actually, like Elon, like a good person and stuff, like. Y'all actually being hella out of pocket when it comes to Elon. That's not fair at all what y'all say. And you especially were very rude. And I would say it'd be helpful if y'all would like apologize to Elon, because I don't know him at all, but he seems like a reasonable dude. So if y'all like would chill out, I'm sure he would forgive you and stuff. Like he a cool guy. And I don't know what was said. I do not know what happened. But something was said that was so, I'm assuming, hateful or out of pocket or just wrong, that I don't know how this happened. All I know is Elon apparently
because this is all hearsay. Like I watched the thing, and I'm 90% sure it's real, but like apparently this dude got so mad he either got his mouth too far from the voice modulator or turned it off, because then this dude in his full Elon voice was like, wait, watch who you talking to right now. But like, he like fully dropped it. He was like, well, forget y'all too then. I hate everybody in here. Y'all can all go to hell. Because then Vivek also tweets one of the oddest. First of all, it's too long. This is another thing that happened, because as soon as they took that like 150 character sort of like thing off of Twitter, and it kind of killed the thread of Twitter, because the thread was how you knew you were telling a good story. Like the thread, I've read threads that were 220 parts. Because every part, there was no fat on that story. The whole thing is so insane, and every 140 characters keeps you hooked for the next 140 characters. I've read Twitter threads that should be movies, right? Because you had to use an economy of words. You had to actually be a writer to convey your ideas, and you did it in the long. I was scrolling for the entire afternoon, and even when I got to the end, I was like, damn. And now, you know, you can just do the whole thing. So then Vivek does this whole thing, and he's like, basically, if America wants to win, and if Americans want to win, and by the way, when I say Americans for a little while here, when I say Americans, just, there's a subtext for everyone talking that they mean white Americans. Just so you know, because sometimes people say Americans, and then well-meaning people go, no, we're all, and I'm like, all right, So Vivek is like, if Americans want to win, then, you know, it comes down to culture. And right now, your culture is trash. It's basically... It's basically a bunch of jocks looking at people who read like they're the dumb ones, even though the jocks are the dumb ones. And we're obsessed with, like, I don't know, like pretty stuff, shiny stuff and everything. And if you pick up some books, and if you do a little less, I don't know, like Instagram, whatever you do, maybe, I don't know, maybe you'll be worth hiring. That's at least how it sounded. And I was not that pressed about the whole Vivek thing. One, because I knew he wasn't talking to me. And two, because I've heard this sort of thing my entire life. No one is more used to this type of condescension than black people. You know what I mean? Because with black people, we're the ones where we're like, hey, I did all the stuff you said to do. I went to the right school, actually got a scholarship. I did the internship, and I am passionate about this field. Can I get a job? And they're like, ah. We already have a black. We already have a black. His name is Mike, because he tricked us. We already have a... Look, we would hire you. We would hire you. But the boss's dumbest cousin needs a job, and so we're going to have to give it to him.
I'm done. Bye.
But